Hi, I'm Sophia. I always wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I could not. Well, I thought I couldn't because I didn't have a appropriate camera. But today, I'm just gonna start doing it. I'm just gonna use my phone, and I'm getting ready to go to my cousin's housewarming party at 7. So I thought might as well use this as the first video, and we'll just call Get Ready With Me. I'm going to be using the Sunrise palette by Natasha Denona, and also the Too Faced Just Peachy mattes. And I'm just going to start doing it. I also put this on my eyelids. CoverGirl True Blend Undercover in the color Buff Beige. And I'm going to use a Real Techniques brush. This one is called Deluxe Concealer Brush, and I'm just going to take this shade, the first shade, called Peach Meringue. I'm just going to get quite a bit on my brush and just set it. This part I just try to do real quick. And I always have to do both eyes at the same time. I haven't really tried, but if I do one eye, I forget what I use before I do the next eye. So I just do the same exact thing on both sides of the eyes. Okay, now I'm going to go straight in with Natasha Denona one, and I'm just gonna switch my brush to, it's about the same except this one's a little bit longer. This one's actually for, it says Deluxe Crease Brush, but I'm just gonna use this to put the color all over. And as you can tell, my eyes are like very tiny, and when I open them, my eyes part right here sags over a little bit, hooded eyes. So I put my colors in certain spots so you can actually see what's going on. So I'm gonna go with Morning, this one right here. This is my favorite palette from her. I'm gonna get quite a bit and just put it in this area. I'm not going to take it all the way up there. I'm just going to put it this area right here, kind of like a rainbow or an upside down U. And I like this brush because it's big and it just like dusts it all over pretty quick. So when you're in a hurry, it helps out. And since I have a crease, I'm going to go down a little bit more close to my actual crease in my lid and put the U. And I just do circular motions or windshield wipers back and forth, slowly building the intensity up. You can see a little bit of difference. I know I don't have the best camera, but at the end you'll see the result. This part doesn't have to be perfect because it's just getting the color on your lid. Okay, now I'm going to do the same exact thing to the other side. See how there's like a space? I'm just going to go right there. And not even pick up the brush, just rub it back and forth and then pick it up. So I can get that color in there. So when I'm looking down, you don't see like bright and then dark because I have dark eyelids. This is actually my second favorite shade in this palette. My first favorite shade is the one right above it, Morgan. It's just so beautiful. There's a lot of colors that look similar to it, like when you look at different palettes, but this one, when I actually put on my eyelid, it looks different. Like for instance, the peach one, you might think just peachy right here is similar to it in the pan, like, oh, if I have just peachy, then I don't need the Sunrise palette. But it's just a different color. I can't explain it. You'll see on my eyelids. It just pops out your eyes, especially if you got small or dark eyelids. It helps just brighten up the whole face. So I think that should be good for now for that color of morning. And then I'm going to start with Morgan. That's my favorite shade. This I'm going to, since I don't want it far up like this, both sides, I'm going to put it with a different brush, use a different brush. It's kind of like flat and it goes out this way. It's a little bit longer. But this one is by It Cosmetics. I'm not sure the number. Oh wait, it says it on here. Number 107. And it's just their simple ones. It's pretty good. But I like it because it can fit right in the crease, and I just go back and forth, back and forth. And in between, if I use the same brush for a different color, I just recently got it, which I like, from Ulta.com, from JCat Beauty, which is not very inexpensive. What you do is, this is how the front looks. You just put your brush in there, swirl it, and it helps get the previous shadow off. But since I'm using the same color, I don't need to get it perfect right now. So I'm going to dip into Morgan, and I'm just going to go like this. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm going to get a little bit closer. And I'm just going to put it right there. And just whoosh it back and forth without picking up a brush. So I can make sure it's in that crevice. It doesn't skip. See? And then I'm going to go right down here. Kind of like we're making a curve. And since there's a little space right here, I'll get a little bit more and add it there. Now I'll take the rest what's on my brush and mush it over here, which is not that much. And then since I had it sideways like this, I'm going to turn it to the side so it's vertical now. And just push it this way. So it kind of like diffuses it with the same brush. But not as much as the initial put on. And I just go back and forth until it looks pretty on the eyelids. Let's see if that angle's better. Okay. Now, since it's kind of flat, I'm going to take the flat end and take that same work in and put it all over my lid. And also I'm going to put the same thing I did here over here real quick. I love her shadows. Because I have other palettes, but I don't know, just something about her shadows I just love. You don't get like harsh lines, even if you dip into it a lot or accidentally go a little bit too hard. There's like no way you can mess up an eye look with her eyeshadows. Like, just blends very good. Very, very well with each other. And now I'm turning it side again, going up. I always look in my mirror over here and make sure they're kind of even, because you know how everyone has, you'll be lucky if you have symmetrical eyes, but most of your eyes are just a little bit different. On this side, this is a smaller eye for me, so I always have to check if I'm doing it right in the same placement or just about the same placement. This is my favorite motion because it's just easy. You just wipe it across, back and forth, back and forth. And if you also have a good brush, it makes it easy too. I'm just going to try to get the same intensity on both sides real quick. Make sure one side's not brighter than the other or darker. You just slowly build it up to however you want. If you want it super light and natural, you don't have to put this much. If you want it more dark and bold, just add more pigment to it. And I'm barely touching it on my eyelid, if you can see, like barely. I'm not like cramming it in there on this part. Barely adding it and slowly building it up. Like a feather, just going back and forth on your eyelid. That's the part I saw on YouTube, like, you know, once people have more advanced cameras, like if they did different angles, like actually the side angle, so you can see how the brush is going on the eyelid. Is when you just see a whole bunch of videos going like this, you don't know how light or how hard they're pushing or what angle. So I like to look at different angles. But this is the best I can do right now. Okay, they look about the same. So now I'm just going to put the wash of color over the flat side. And I just pat it like this on the side. And then I do the same thing, I pat it right in the middle first. See how when I put on my eyelid it looks lighter than when I build it up? So what I'm trying to go for is like a light to a darker of the same range, kind of like a one color look. But obviously we're not just using one color. Okay, now just do the other side. And to be honest, I do my eyes different each time. Well, I'll try to use the same techniques because I have small eyes, but you know how every time you just do it, or if you're in a rush, I can never duplicate a look. I don't know how people on YouTube do it, but that's a talent for them because I can use the same colors, but I always get a different look. Which I guess is good. And so far I've had like 0 fallout. I don't know if that concerns you guys. To me it doesn't really matter. But unless like obviously it's a lot and like. So that looks good. Add a little bit more to this side. I have a lot of wrinkles on my eyelid too, so I just gotta make sure I get every little spot. So when you close your eyes, it just looks okay. Now I'm changing my brush, and it's gonna be, instead of flat like how we were, it's gonna be a little bit more rounded, flat, rounded, in like a more dome-ish shape, round all the way. This has 2 flat ends, and very, 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 very lightly, I'm going to get a darker shade in this palette called Jasper, right here. It's like a little, it's like a dark orange. So I'm just barely tap it. Barely. So I just get like a little bit on the brush. See how much I got? And then I'm gonna barely, barely tap in my crease. It's very tap, 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 tap. Just tapping it out. I might get a little bit more, just barely touching it again. And go right here, closer to the bottom of my lid. Tapping it there as well. And a little bit in my corner. And then the rest, put it in my crease slowly. Just to give it a little bit of definition. And that's when I start to do the windshield, leaving it in there, not picking it up, so it stays in one area. And it's just barely made a little bit darker. And you can make it as dark as you want, or as less as you want. Sometimes I just flicker it up. And that should be good. It's just a slightly darker. And then the brush I was using, the flat one, I'm just going to take it. Nope, that's not it. This bigger one, this flat one. And have it to its side, like this. And just slowly, lightly go back and forth. So it merges the two colors together in a very light way. Okay. Now I'm going to just do the same thing to the other side. Making weird faces kind of helps sometimes. I don't know, in my mind it does. I don't know if it really does. Okay, now I have to merge them together. I'm just going to get a little bit more of Morgan and do it sideways again to help merge them together and bring back that Morgan color into the look. Now I'm going to do the other side. Haven't done that one yet. You can go a little bit higher close to your brow bone, but not all the way up in there. And this is just Morgan again. I'm just going rainbow shapes or looks about the same. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now, since it's kind of like Bam, Morgan, and then by concealer, skin, whatever color you want to say it is, what I do, which is usually what tones it down if you don't want such bold looks, what tones it down is either matte, since this one doesn't have like a bone crease color. That's why I used the Just Peachy, and I used that one up here. Oops, this corner one, because it's like the lightest one in the palette. And I just take what I used in the very beginning, which was, I believe it was this one right here. And I just dip back into it. Don't want to use this brush. yeah. Anyways, I put it right dab, not the whole brush. I put it right here in the middle. Just make sure that the powder is right in the middle. The whole surface area doesn't need to be covered, just a little bit right here in the middle. And I dab into it, making sure I just get the middle. I don't smash the brush in there. Just very tap it so I can get just a light amount, because I don't want to take away the color. I just want to diffuse it. So then I go right here. I don't go right on the line, diffuse it out. I go above, near closer to my brow bone. I start there to get the most product, and then I just flicker it back and forth. And the rest of the bristles that didn't get the powder, so it gets the powder and diffuses it to this strong line right here. So then it slowly does the work for me. You can see just that little amount how I brought it down from that side. And I just do that a couple of times, get a little bit more. And then once all the product is off, that's when I go a little bit closer and I just flicker it to make it lighter. So it's like lighter, darker, back to light. And see how dark that is? And this side's just a little bit lighter, but still dark where we need it to be. And just keep flickering it however you want. You can go lower, higher, not as much, or not even do this step. You want it that bold. And just put a highlight and go on. But I like just to diffuse it a little bit to look more subtle. So I'm going to just do the other side now. Barely tap it right in the middle. Start at the top. And flicker a little bit. See how I brought it down already? And I just do it a couple more times. Then when I feel like all the powder is gone from the brush, I go in a little bit lower to the line and just diffuse it. And they're both looking a little bit lighter. And don't be afraid, if you get white too low, you can just add more color, more again to it. It's like white. You just taking it, you can put it back over white. It's not like a harsh color. You can't go over it. It won't ruin your whole look. So you can be deep, specific and detailed, or you can just, especially if you're in a hurry. And this is the time where I try to get them about the same in shape, because it's kind of hard. I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to make some kind of color in my eye. And then you step back and look. They're about the same. Just flick a little bit more, flicker, flicker, flicker. It's kind of like your eraser on your pencil. Something when you're trying to erase something, but not all of it. Okay, looks about good. And this, you can leave it like this matte look, or you can go a step further, play with this, or play with the other one and add the shimmers. But I'm gonna put this peachy one up. I'm just gonna put this aside. I might go back to the white if I add some more color, but probably not. And this is where you can have fun with this one too, because they have a lot of beautiful shimmers. But I always look at the palette in whole and see what looks good. And I think I'm going to go with Azalea. I believe that's how it's pronounced. This one right here, beside Morgan. You could do that one, or you could do Agate. This one right here. Or Laurel right here in the top. Any of those would be fine. Or you could do Awakening, just whatever you really want to do. But I'm going to do let me just swatch them real quick. See what I want to do. I do that a lot, especially if I don't, because you don't remember how each one looks swatched. That's better. This is the first one I mentioned, Zila, then I got Laurel is in the middle, and then Agate is at the top. So I think I would go with, because the one in the middle has a little orangey tint, and the first one's more brighter, so you could do brighter all the way like this, or orangey tint. Let's go with the brighter one. Which will be Agate. I'm just going to put a little bit in the inner corner, but before I do that, I'm jumping ahead of myself, I'm going to take that flat one again. I'm going to pack on a little bit Morgan here, in case some of that darker one, how the powder goes, you can just get darker, just intensify the Morgan color, because that's my favorite color in this shade palette. And pack it on. And I stop right here so I don't mess up this darkness. See the difference? You're really intensifying it. And I stop like 3/4 of the way. Now, the brush I was using for Jasper, the more pointy one, I'm just going to take it, I'm not adding nothing more, I'm just going to flicker what's on the brush and what's on my eyelid towards the center. To fuse it, see? I'm gonna do the same thing to this side. And just slowly flicker it half and stop by the halfway mark. Anyways, back to this, I just flicker it. See, this view helps. Just flickering it, but not all the way through. And you still get that brightness. And then darkness. And you just look up close in your mirror. I'm using the camera to see about where everything's at. Okay, now this is a very, very tiny brush. Morphe E35. You can get tiny brushes in any brand. I started watching YouTube and I got punked or duped, whatever you want to call it, to gain some of their brushes. I would not recommend the brushes, I'm sorry, just no. But I'm not going to throw them away. I bought them, I'm obviously going to use them, but I would invest into better brushes. Even you get them one at a time. That's what I was doing with the IT Cosmetics. But they do have very tiny brushes by Morphe though, so I'm sure many brands have tiny brushes, but since I already have them, I'm not going to go purchase more. But the one that's very tiny, because I have tiny eyelids, is this one, E35 Morphe brush. It's super duper tiny. and since I have tiny eyes, it's just like perfect for right there. So I'm just gonna do not wet, the agate one. I'm just gonna get it on the very tip. Anyways, agate is right here, and let's just get the very tip. I'm not putting the whole thing down flat on it. I'm just getting just the tip of the brush. And I'm going in. My eyes kind of water a lot, so this is why I just go very light in the corner. Back up, see how it is. See how you can leave it matte? Do your eyeliner, whatever, lashes, whatever you want, and then just add a little bit, make it a little bit more fancy. I personally would have left it here, but since I'm doing video, I'm just trying to be a little bit more fancy. Add a little bit so you can see other colors of the palette. If you want, you can intensify it, the inner corner highlight. I don't really like to intensify it. My friend, on the other hand, she can do it on me perfectly. She's very good at makeup. Her name's Vanessa. And I'm just gonna add a little bit more. I'm gonna add a little bit of Laurel on top of it. And I'm just gonna do this side real quick. So a little bit of agate. I'm going very light because I don't like very brightening right there. And now into Laurel. A little bit more Laurel. Tap, tap, tap. You can see them a little bit better. Now I'll just diffuse with that one brush I keep using by It Cosmetics, the 107. You can use this for lots of different things. Okay, so that completes the eyeshadow look. Now I just gotta Last Sensational Maybelline. These are by L'Oreal. Primer. Helps kind of like if you have very short, straight eyelashes like mine. It helps kind of make them elongated so you don't get black right here. It makes it so you can put your mascara on. And then the Paradise one, Waterproof by L'Oreal. So I'm going to put that back. It looks like I'm not wearing eyeliner, but obviously I am. It's by Almay. And it's in the color Black Raisin 209. You can get it at CVS. That's where I got mine. Speaking about CVS, extra bucks, very good deal. Maybe I'll do another video about that, how to use extra bucks, because you can get a lot of makeup stuff and get good deals, use coupons, all that, because why pay full price when you don't have to? So anyways, I'm gonna put that on under here, just the bottom, nothing too fancy. And then I might, if it gets a little bit too dark, I might smudge it out or make it lighter with this flat brush. It's by Morphe M432. This is like another tiny one of theirs. And then come back for the exciting part. Oh yeah, conceal this. Have very dark under eyes. Conceal that. We'll try to conceal it. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do that for me and my skin. Really behind, already 15 minutes late, so I'm gonna run through this real super quick. All I did was add that mascara with the primer, and then for foundation I use these little samples that I got Dior in 3N and 2N. I mix them together, put them all over my face. Tried out this sponge for the first time, the body sponge by Real Techniques. It did go faster and help with blending, but it's kind of hard, especially if you don't have like a lot of space in your face. like cheeks area is fine, but when you're trying to get in those little areas, it's a little bit, takes a little bit of time to slow down. And also I use this primer I got on Ulta, 21 days, recently just happened. When you instantly put it on, the redness of your face is still there, but after it sets for a little bit, it lightly, like just a hair, makes it lighter, but it's not a dramatical difference like redness. So I'll do a separate review for that and these two. I just gotta test this out a little bit more. But I do like this as a primer because I tried the same foundation when I first got these Dior ones, and I looked in the mirror and I did not like how it sat on my face, but I like how it sits on my face today using this primer. And this is like a very sheer, very light coverage, because you can still see my freckles, and I put a lot on in different areas to cover up my red spots. You can still see my freckles and like different beauty marks. Excuse my mustache, haven't taken it off, but let me get real close. And I'm not good at wing eyeliner. I was going to just do a black line, but I ran out of time. But I cannot do wing to save my life. I can try, but I didn't want to mess up my eye look. I just did the Almay under my eye, so it looks like I'm wearing eyeliner, but not. And then also I use this little travel Becca highlighter in Vanilla Quartz. Very, very lightly, can't really tell, but that's how I like it. And also use this. Recently got this, try it out. This is in Sun Kiss Bronzer, and just used a big kabuki brush. Also I used this as a blush very lightly. This is in Essence Satin Coral number 10, very lightly too. And then the lipstick, I was going to do different ones, but ran out of time, so the one I finally picked was this by Physician Formula. It's called Nutritious. It looks more red on camera, but in person it's a deeper red, a deeper brown red. So it looks more brown in person, but in the camera it looks a little bit more red. And my lips look really jacked up today because I had to go super quick, and hopefully no one notices, but I think that's it. Pretty sure that's it. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to spray my face real quick. I barely got this at CVS with my CB Bucks. I'm going to try that out, see how it works out. It smells really good. Oh, the Dior, the other thing about this, very, like, if you're sensitive to smells, I don't know if you like this, or if it's your smell or not, but it triggers headaches. This one almost triggered a headache, but not all the way. I, layered it slowly so it wouldn't just be bam perfume, but it does have a strong perfumey smell. So yeah, I think that's it, if I remember anything else.